because some things can change. The form should take no more than 5 minutes. Really quick, they can just sort of read the products you've got there, tick it, and carry on. But other things may change, and then it offers you as a producer more opportunity to update us as well.
I think it's really important, you know, Tristan, because we have producers who go to several markets, and depending on the market manager's authority and the rules, some of them be a bit naughtier, others, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a good check.
And I think it also offers a market manager that chance to say, well, look, somebody else is asking us to do this, because sometimes market managers are scared to approach producers and challenge them, so it gives them a bit more of a...
Helps that out.
The independent assessment panel. They assess the form if necessary, they'll carry out the inspection. If they're successful, they'll receive their certificate of accreditation, which has got to be displayed at the market. If they're unsuccessful, they will get that report highlighting why, and they can choose to reapply at any time. Or if they think they've been assessed unfairly, they can choose to appeal through the VFMA committee. And the committee's decision will be regarded as final.
We can get a copy of that sent out to our email.
A copy?
Sent out to storeholders.
Yeah, sorry, on those sheets that are listed, well, within the handbook actually explains the whole process. But on that sheet, I forgot to actually list the presentation. If you want a copy of the presentation, just write that over properly and I can easily send that out, so that's not a problem. So, has anybody got questions about the actual producer process before we go on to the market manager?
Yeah, I've got one more question. Sorry, I'm supposed to go about this. Are you saying, if I got this right, that you're saying that with the system as it currently stands, once the funding has run out, that people will apply for accreditation, they'll do a self-assessment. That self-assessment will then go to the VFMA committee authority.
Assessment panel, yes.
And then on that basis, they will be given a tick of approval that there is not necessarily going to be an on-site visit.
Not necessarily, but they may be, depending on the strength of the application and transparency. Any new applicants that haven't previously applied, they'll have an inspection. We may, it depends on the costing. I mean,
sorry, say that again?
Any new producer who applies, who hasn't previously applied for accreditation, they will have an inspection.
So ongoing ones may not.
But once the funding has, so you're saying all storeholders now, up until when the funding runs out, will be site visited?
No, the current ones that are going through, existing storeholders, the majority of fruit and veg, because that seemed to be the area that the greatest problems were, they'll have inspections. There will be a random element thereafter. A lot of that will be based on the transparency of the application. Once they've gone through the system, anybody who joins a farmer's market who hasn't been accredited in the past, they'll have an inspection.
Okay.
So there's not constant inspections, just random after that.
Yeah, if we receive complaints or for whatever reason, then an inspection would be carried out. I'll sort of explain the initial and then the ongoing process. The process for a farmer's market to become accredited is, the first thing is they need to check that they've got the required percentage of their producers accredited. The committee decided that that would have to be 90% in metropolitan areas and 75% in regional areas. So we gave a little bit more leeway towards regional areas. The feedback was that it was harder to keep and maintain storeholders in those areas. Out of the 10 and 25% though, they still can't be resellers, repackagers, art and craft or bric-a-brac. They are things like possibly the wood stall or your community breakfast, your coffee stand, those types of stalls.
Very good.
And as I mentioned before, I will keep the farmers market managers up to date with how they're going through that with their producers. So very similar to the producer process, they've again got to fill in their application forms. They also have compulsory requirements. They've got some recommended procedures, and then they sign for a declaration for the information they've provided. And I'll just run through some of the compulsory requirements and recommended procedures. The first one was those percentages. The second one is that they've got to agree to display their accreditation packet, maybe in the form of a logo. Likewise, their market has to be run in accordance with VFMA's charter, and if the market has rules, regulations or charter, they should be on display to the public. The market manager needs to ensure that their stall holders have their trading names on display. Again, that the producers are given clear pricing and that their packaging is correct. If a producer does claim to have external certifications such as organic, that has got to be backed up with a certificate. And the market managers also have to agree to carry out those market day assessments on their producers the required number of times. Some of the recommended procedures, this is more for new markets that are starting up. It's just sort of guidelines to help them along the way. They should look to have a sort of risk management plan, maybe designate a first aid points, establishment of a market information store. This can be used for promoting your own markets, putting your rules and regulations on there. You should try and carry out frequent customer questionnaires, engage with your public, see what they're wanting at your market, keep footfall statistics, very useful. We did that methodically in Edinburgh, and we could sort of structure our marketing plan around trends there. The way we did it in Edinburgh, we would do it every week at every market, and we would do it for 2 minutes at every entry point on every half hour, every hour, if that makes sense.
Twice as many with footfalls.
And that way we can kind of multiply that by 30 and get a pretty accurate figure for the number of people coming through the market. And yeah, keep regular dialogue with your producers. If you're a market manager, try and stop this sort of feeling of them and us. Work together. You both need each other to make a successful market. So there's some of the sort of recommended procedures. So again, when they filled in their application form, it does get lodged to the independent assessment panel who assess their form, and they will carry out a market inspection. Off the back of that inspection, they'll be given a verdict, and if they're successful, they'll be given that accreditation pack, which needs to be displayed at the market. Likewise, if not, they'll receive a report highlighting why, and they can choose to reapply at any time along the way.
Within that time, they won't be able to trade at the market unless they comply. Is that correct?
So they complete an annual verification form. There may be an annual inspection of the markets. It might be biannual, as in like once every 2 years. And they've got to ensure that they carry out the required number of market day assessments. So just another quick recap. Fill in the form, goes to the independent assessment panel, they assess it, they'll inspect the market, and if successful, they'll get the accreditation back. Likewise, again, if they're not, they'll get the report, given the reasons why, and they may choose to appeal the decision to the committee. So that's really the process where we're at.
How long does the process take for a producer? Because obviously it's no point in me applying for that until I've got 75% of producers up and running.
Absolutely, yeah. At the moment, I mean, once it's up and running, we hope it can be very quick. We've obviously got
after November?
After November, you'll start to see the certificates out at the market.
Yeah. And then, but how long does the process take for a producer to get accredited?
It could take as little as a week. It just really depends how fast they go through the system, how quickly we can organise the inspection.
And as long as
Well, at the moment we've got a backlog, so we are hoping to get through most of them by November.
So can I ask a question? The panel that's doing the assessment, are they paid to do the assessments?
They are, yes, and they're also paid any travel inspectors incurred through inspections.
Who is
Actually, what's very interesting though is a lot of the members on the panel don't want to be paid. They're happy to do it voluntarily.
This year,
yeah, I'm sure that
this year.
Yeah, this year. But it does show the support and enthusiasm from our farmers market to create a mini market. We did it on a Monday because that's the day that suits chefs most. And we invited some chefs, mainly sous chefs, and then a few top profile chefs with Michelin stars. And it was really just a networking opportunity to make the producers engage with the chefs, find out what the issues are, and a bit of cross communication there. The Michelin star chefs were doing cooking demonstrations using the local produce and explaining also to the sous chefs the benefits of maybe using some lesser cuts of meat and the types of lovely dishes you can do with that and increase your GP through that way. So it was a sort of bringing together of the producers and the chefs, and that's maybe something that we should be exploring here in Victoria.